York is one of those cities that feels like it's hiding 1,000 years of secrets in plain sight. I still remember walking through those narrow medieval streets, looking up at the city walls and realizing almost every corner had a Roman, Viking, or ghost story behind it. So, in this video, I'm taking you through the exact way I'd spend 2 days in York, from the minster and ancient walls to the little streets, hidden stops, and local details most people walk right past. Stay until the end for the practical tips I wish I knew earlier, and let's get into York. Day 1. Historic York. Morning. York City Walls. We're starting the day on top of the city to get a proper look at the streets before the morning rush takes over. Head straight to Bootham Bar and take the stone stairs to get onto the fortifications. This elevated walkway circles the heart of York for about 3.4 kilometers or 2 miles, giving you a bird's eye view of hidden gardens and courtyards that are invisible from the ground. The path is tight in some spots and takes you directly through massive stone gatehouses that the locals call bars. These were the original checkpoints into the city, and walking across these stones you can practically feel the 2,000 years of footsteps that came before you. The real payoff is the stretch behind the cathedral where the path opens up. It gives you a clear shot of the Gothic towers rising over the rooftops, which is exactly where you're heading next. Insider tip. If you're visiting in the spring, look down at the embankments. They're covered in thousands of daffodils. It's the best photo opportunity in the city, but the grass is usually soaking wet, so stay on the paved path if you don't want to ruin your shoes. York Minster. Drop down from the walls and walk toward the massive towers. You don't need a map for this because the Minster is the highest point around and visible from almost anywhere. This is one of the largest Gothic cathedrals in Northern Europe, and the scale inside is a massive flex of medieval power. Entry is $26.50, which covers the main floor, the underground crypt, and the climb up to the top. If you have the lungs for it, take the 275 narrow stone steps up to the central tower. It's a tight squeeze, and the wind at the top is usually biting, but the view across the entire county is worth the effort. Back on the ground, head toward the Great East Window to see the largest expanse of medieval stained glass in the world. It was finished in 1408 and is essentially a massive, glowing wall of glass and lead. Insider tip. Head down to the crypt to see the Roman foundations. It's cold and the air is heavy down there, but seeing the original Roman walls literally supporting a Gothic cathedral is the best way to understand how the city was built in layers. Afternoon. Lunch at Forest. When the grey stone of the Minster starts wearing you down, cut over to Gillygate for a table at Forest. It's tucked inside Galtris Lodge and feels like a massive indoor garden. All wood, plants, and high energy. One of the rare spots that manages to feel polished without being exhausting. The kitchen is obsessed with Yorkshire ingredients. I recommend the Yorkshire Wagyu burger or the pan-fried gnocchi with forest mushrooms. They don't overcomplicate things, and the quality is obvious. Expect to pay between $24 and $38 for a main and a drink. The service is fast enough that you won't kill your afternoon waiting for the check, but the vibe is chilled out enough that you actually get a break from the noise of the main streets. Yorkshire Museum and Gardens. Find the iron gates past the library to enter the museum gardens. This space is where the city actually takes a breath. Inside the museum, you'll find Roman mosaics and fossils found on the local coast. Entry is $15.50, and you can see the best bits in about 45 minutes. Step back outside and walk toward the massive stone ruins in the middle of the grass. These are the remains of St. Mary's Abbey, a Benedictine monastery from the 11th century. There are no ropes or barriers, so you can walk right through the center of the arches and see the scale of the old masonry. It's a flat, easy walk, and the best place in the city to just sit on the grass for a few minutes. Treasurer's House. Cut through the small alleyway behind the Minster to find Treasurer's House tucked away from the main walking paths. The building covers nearly 2,000 years of history, with rooms to reflect everything from medieval life to 19th century luxury. Entry is $16, and you could walk through the whole house in about 45 minutes. The basement is the real hook here because it sits directly over an old Roman road. There's a famous story about a plumber who saw a troop of ghostly Roman soldiers marching through the floor back in the 1950s. Once you step back outside, take a minute to walk the surrounding cobbled streets. This area has some of the best angles of the Minster Towers for a clean photo. Evening, dinner at Wine Stories. End the day by heading toward the center for a table at Wine Stories. This is a top-rated Greek spot that feels like a lively Mediterranean kitchen. It's loud, friendly, and a major shift from the quiet, historic vibe of the morning. I recommend the meze platters or the lamb cleftico, which is slow-cooked until the meat basically falls off the bone. Prices for a full meal with shared plates and a drink usually land between $40 and $55. It's a popular spot, so the energy is high and the service is efficient. Grab a glass of Greek wine and settle in because they never rush you out the door. Day 2. York Streets and Attractions. Morning. The Shambles. Start the day right in the middle of the most photographed street in the country before it gets impossible to move. The Shambles is a narrow, uneven strip of timber-framed buildings that lean so far forward they nearly touch at the top. Most of these structures date back to the 14th century, and they weren't built like that for the aesthetic. It was a practical move to keep the rain off the meat hanging in the shop windows below. You can still see the original heavy stone ledges and the iron hooks where butchers displayed their stock. It's a short walk, maybe 3 minutes from end to end, but the tilt of the buildings is dizzying when the street is empty. Insider tip. Skip the Harry Potter-themed shops. They have nothing to do with the city's actual history, and they're usually a massive bottleneck. Instead, look for the small shrines built into the walls, like the one for St. Margaret Clitheroe, which reminds you this was a living, breathing neighborhood long before it was a photo backdrop. Clifford's Tower. Head south toward the open grassy mound with the stone tower sitting on top. This is what remains of York Castle, originally a wooden fort built by William the Conqueror in 1068. What you're looking at now is the 13th century stone rebuild. Entry is $12, the climb up the mound is short, but the stone stairs inside the tower are steep and narrow. Once you're on the roof walkway, the view is a total flex. You can see the river, the minster, and the entire loop of the walls. Takes about 45 minutes to see the whole thing. Afternoon, York Castle Museum. Right at the base of the hill is the York Castle Museum. Don't let the name fool you, this isn't just a collection of old armor. It's housed in an 18th century prison, and the experience is a deep dive into how people actually lived. Entry is around $20.50. The standout is Kirkgate, a meticulously recreated Victorian street. It's not just a set. You walk on real cobbles, step into authentic shops, and see the exact signage used in the 1800s. Give yourself at least 2 hours here, because the prison section where they project the stories of former inmates onto the original cell walls is worth the extra time. York Dungeons. The energy shifts significantly about 3 minutes away at the York Dungeons. This isn't a museum, it's an interactive show with actors, jump scares, and a lot of dark humor. Tickets are $27 and the experience lasts about 75 minutes. You move through different rooms covering the plague, Guy Fawkes, and local highwaymen. It's fast-paced and uses heavy lighting effects and smells to drive home the grit of the city's past. Insider tip. Book your time slot online at least 24 hours in advance. If you show up, you'll likely find a line that wraps around the corner, and they prioritize prepaid tickets. Betty's Tea Rooms. To take the edge off the dungeons, head to Betty's on St. Helens Square. This place has been a York institution since 1936, with an interior inspired by the Queen Mary ocean liner. If you want the full experience, you'll have to book the Belmont room specifically for afternoon tea. It's the only way to skip the massive line outside and guarantee a seat at a set time. Bookings are available from 11:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily and until 5 p.m. on Saturdays. The traditional afternoon tea costs $40 and covers everything. Crustless sandwiches like smoked salmon or egg mayonnaise, warm scones with clotted cream and strawberry jam, and a selection of miniatures like lemon macarons or chocolate eclairs. It's a white glove service that takes about 90 minutes if you're doing it right. If you haven't booked, you'll be stuck in the walk-in queue for the main cafe, which can easily take 30 minutes just to get a door handle. Late afternoon, Merchant Adventurers Hall. Once you've finished with the tea and sandwiches, walk 5 minutes toward Fossgate to find the Merchant Adventurers Hall. From the street, it looks like a modest timber house, but inside, it's one of the best preserved medieval guild halls in the country. It's a massive 3-level structure that's been the center of York's business life since 1357. Entry's $9, the Great Hall's the centerpiece, a massive space with a forest of oak pillars holding up a timber roof that hasn't moved in 600 years. It's quiet, cool, and feels completely separate from the noise of the shopping streets. You can see the original 14th century construction without any modern fluff. 30 minutes is enough to get the gist of how the city's wealthy merchants ran their businesses here before you head to the final stop of the day. Jorvik Viking Center. Finish the day at Jorvik, which is built directly on the top of the 1,000-year-old remains of a Viking neighborhood discovered during an excavation in the 1970s. This is easily the most popular spot in York, so don't even think about showing up without a pre-booked time slot. Tickets are $19.50. The main draw is the seated ride that takes you through a reconstructed Viking village. The creators didn't hold back. They even recreated the smells of wood smoke, wet fish, and open cesspits to keep it real. It's based on actual archaeological findings from this exact patch of dirt, so everything from the height of the doors to the types of tools on the workbenches is accurate. Give yourself about an hour here to get through the ride and the gallery of artifacts at the end. Evening. Dinner at 8 o'clock. For dinner, head to 8 o'clock, tucked down a narrow, fairy-lit alleyway near the Shambles. It's been a local favorite for over 20 years, known for its arched ceilings and warm lighting that makes the space feel like a neighborhood secret. It's professional, but relaxed. The kind of place where the service is fast, but you never feel like they're flipping the table. The menu is modern British. I recommend the pan-fried duck breast or the local steaks. The kitchen is known for getting their cook temps exactly right. Mains generally run from $28 and $45. The courtyard is covered and heated, so it's a solid spot for a long dinner to finish the trip regardless of the weather. Insider tip. This place is almost always fully booked on weekends. If you can't book a table, walk 3 minutes to the Fossgate Social for a more casual vibe and some of the best independent beer in the city. Useful info for spending 2 days in York. Best time to visit York. Late spring through early autumn from May to September is the best window for walking the city without getting soaked. Daytime temperatures usually sit between 15 and 23 degrees Celsius or 59 to 73 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the ideal weather for the city's walls, where there's zero cover from the wind or rain. June through August give you the longest daytime hours, which is a massive help when you're trying to fit in those late afternoon stops. Winter drops between 0 and 7 degrees Celsius or 32 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. It looks great with the Christmas lights, but the days are short and the damp cold in York hits differently. You'll spend more time ducking into pubs just to stay warm. City airport tips. York doesn't have its own airport, so you'll likely land at Manchester or Leeds Bradford. From Manchester Airport, there are direct trains to York that run every hour. The trip takes about 1 hour and 45 minutes, and tickets typically cost between $35 and $60. If you don't book these in advance, the on-the-day price can be a total rip-off. From Leeds Bradford Airport, York is about 48 kilometers or 30 miles away. You'll need to take the flyer bus to Leeds train station and then a quick 20-minute train to York. The whole process takes about an hour and a half and costs roughly $20 to $30. If you're coming up from London, direct trains from King's Cross are the fastest way to get here. The journey is about 2 hours, and if you book a few weeks out, Tickets are usually between $45 and $90. Where to stay in York? Stay within the city walls if your budget allows it. Everything in this itinerary is walkable from the center, so you won't have to deal with the buses or taxis. Mid-range hotels inside the walls usually run between $130 and $250 per night. If you want more quiet, look at the Bootham area just outside the walls. It's an upscale neighborhood and only a 10-minute walk to the Minster, with prices ranging from $110 to $200. For a more local vibe, look around Bishopthorpe Road. It's been voted one of the best streets in the country and is packed with independent cafes. It's about a 15-minute walk to the center, and rooms generally go for $100 to $170. How to get around York? York is a walking city, period. The main sites are all packed into a radius of about 1.5 kilometers or just under a mile. Most of the streets in the center are pedestrianized during the day, so even if you have a car, you can't drive it to the front door of most attractions. There's a local bus network with a single ticket costing around $3, but you'll likely only use it if your hotel is way out in the suburbs. Taxis and Ubers exist, but with the narrow streets and one-way systems, walking is almost always faster. Just bring comfortable shoes. The medieval cobbles are brutal on your feet after a full day. Where to eat in York? York leans heavily into British classics, but there's a solid mix of modern kitchens and smaller independent spots mostly concentrated inside the city walls. In the city center, Roots York is easily the top dining experience. It's run by Chef Tommy Banks and focuses on a structured tasting menu format that uses ingredients grown on their own family farm. It's a slow, 3-hour experience, so don't book this if you're trying to rush. They have 2 options, the core menu for $145 or the signature menu for $215. The dishes are highly seasonal, but look for the cold smoked raw deer or their signature potato-based desserts. If you want something high energy and less formal, head to Scosh near Micklegate Bar. The menu is built around small plates with heavy Japanese and Middle Eastern influences, designed for sharing and grazing. You'll want to order the hen's egg. It's a cheesy mousse snack that's become a local legend. Other standouts are the tempura broccoli and their spiced venison. A full meal here typically lands between $55 and $90 depending on how many plates you stack up. It's one of the hardest reservations to get in the city, so you'll need to book at least 3 weeks out. For a plant-based option, head to Junk Soul Smothered inside the Spark Shipping Container Park on Piccadilly. This took over as the go-to vegan spot after Source closed down. It's 100% plant-based comfort food. Think massive burgers on bright pink buns, chicken wings, and fries loaded with sauces. Most of the mains fall between $14 and $20, and you can comfortably eat for under $30 with a drink. It's a loud, casual setup with communal tables, so it's perfect if you want something fast and heavy without a formal sit-down commitment. 2 days go fast here, but you've covered a lot without it turning into a checklist. The walls, the Minster, the streets that actually live up to the hype, and a few stops that most people walk straight past. That's York done properly in a short trip. If you liked this guide, hit like and subscribe for more, and if you're continuing the trip, London's up next. Completely different pace, but just as worth your time.